It's all God's children singing glory, glory. Hallelujah, He reigns, He reigns. It's all God's children singing glory, glory. Hallelujah, He reigns, He reigns.
Okay,
Do we need to turn out the light, or are you good?
I will turn off the lights.
Okay.
Okay. So, we're going to skip all the rest of the stuff because we ain't
I'm fine.
and it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So, the title of today's lesson, I did not come up with this acronym. I found it, but it's called T.H.I.N.K. Okay. And so, Colossians 4:5, and you can kind of read what this says up here, but well, I'm just going to read it. Y'all can look up the verses later if you want to. But so, as individual people, we all know it's important about what we say to others. It's a big influence on what we say. But as Christians, it's even more important because what we say really reflects our religion and who we are. Okay? And you can look at Colossians 4:6, and pretty much what those verses are saying is that people need to behave wisely in the presence of unbelievers. People that are not saved, maybe people that are not of the Christian faith. You know, we need to behave wisely. And what we're supposed to do is take every opportunity possible to that person, because my motto is, you know, you never know who's around that may not be a believer like we are. And they may be looking at our religion and saying, you know, I kind of like that. You know, and we're supposed to take every chance we can to use it as a chance for witnessing and just be of good behavior and watch what we say and all that kind of thing. And an example of that is wise speech. You know, and those verses are saying is to be seasoned with salt, which is verse 5. And gracious, wise conversation will enable the Colossians or us to know how to answer every man. Talking about the gospel. Because I've had people before at this school that have asked me certain questions. Monica Mason, I'm going to go ahead and mention her name. She asked me this morning about Sodom and Gomorrah and what it was. So I explained to her what that was. She said she was interested in the book of Revelations. I explained to her kind of what that was. So it's very important that we use wise conversation. Okay. So the intro question is, can you remember the last thing you said to someone? And you think back. Or maybe what somebody said to you. Can you remember that? And was it good? Or was it bad? I hope maybe it wasn't bad, but, you know. But have you ever said something that later you right then, you're like, oh, no. Why did I say that? I do that a lot, okay? And there's going to fill this in, and if you don't know the answer, like in the next question. But the blank can no man blank. It is a blank evil full of deadly blank. And pretty much what this is saying, James 3:8, is saying that a man cannot tame his tongue. It's full of deadly poison. And this is saying, why would the tongue be considered to have deadly poison in it? You know? Is this an interesting thing? Is the tongue related to poison?
I've also heard it. I think it was like your tongue's as a fiery dart. I think they make references to that too, and I was thinking about this morning.
Okay, so the first acronym of this is T, or is it true? Okay, now remember this rule about gossip. The more interesting it is, the more likely it's false. So if you're, at lunch and you've got a couple of friends, and I hear it all the time at the school. Did you hear about so-and-so? They broke up with so-and-so.
So and so.
Yeah, so
So and so.
So the more interesting it is, you better watch it. The more attention it grabs, the more likely it is probably to be made up. Here's an illustration. Let's say there's a married couple. They're going in for counseling. Well, I'm going to use me and my boyfriend as an example. Okay. Let's say Jared and I are having an issue. Miss Pat's our counselor. We go, she hears my side. Then she makes a judgment. And she didn't even hear Jared's side. Is that accurate?
No.
No. Okay. So you only hear one side of the story. And that's a lot of times that's how gossip works. There's only one side to it. And then people make a judgment that goes to a wrong conclusion. And it's just not good.
And a lot of times we don't want to say the bad that we've done, even though that we played a part in it too.
And here's a note I put in capital letters. It says, I am responsible for what I pass along just the same as if I created it. So, you know, a lot of times gossip, as it goes down the line, and you've heard of that game where it passes down the line, and what you end up with is not what it was. So, you know, if you're going to tell something, you better be responsible that it's true. Because one little slip can just change it. Okay, and you're as responsible for what you say as far as that goes. And if you were the one that made it up. And there's this quote that I don't know who this guy is, but he says, can I quote you on that? It's a good thing to ask. If you hear somebody tell you something, can I quote you on it? Can I make sure you know this is what you're saying? And I've got some verses here, John 7:24. I did not know I've never read this verse before. It says, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. And I had never read that, and I thought, wow. And pretty much what this is, and I think I spelled hearsay wrong, but y'all get the point. And pretty much what this is saying is don't jump to conclusions based off of what you hear. Judge it based off of fact. If you heard it from the horse's mouth, then yeah, you know, if I go to Daniel and I say I failed my math test, then it's probably true. But if I tell Autumn I made an A on my math test, and then Caitlin just don't like me, and she tells Daniel, I made an F. You know what I mean? And then people look at me like, you made an F? Bad. But instead, I made an A.
Who doesn't make an F in math?
So, just base it off of that. Proverbs 26:23, burning lips and a wicked heart are like potsherd covered with silver dross. This silver dross can also be taken as glaze. And the point is this, glaze can cover rough pottery, but it cannot change its character. And an evil man cannot change his character by covering it with eloquent speech. Okay? So, you know, just because somebody may have nice, sweet speech does not mean.
It's almost like I play around with my puppies sometimes, and I'll be like, come here, stupid, come here, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's really bad.
And in Proverbs 26:3, debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself and discover not a secret to another. I love this verse. My boyfriend, he thinks a lot of this verse. And it's if you have a problem with somebody, go tell that person.
Except for your parents, because then you get hit in the appendix.
Exactly.
Get him.
But if you have a problem, if I have a problem with Caitlin, I need to go tell Caitlin. I don't need to come to Daniel and say, you know what Caitlin done? Let me go ahead and tell you what she done.
Oh my God.
She done said something, and it done made me no. If Caitlin's done said something to me, I ain't gonna say, hey Caitlin, you know, I don't appreciate what you said the other day. But I don't need to go tell somebody else. Don't start gossiping. And Proverbs 16:28, a froward man sows strife, and a whisperer separated chief friends. Gossip destroys friendships. Period. Okay? Because things happen that didn't happen, and then when things happen that don't happen, that apparently happened,
Oh my
you
God.
get things that happen. Okay.
And there's a lot of confusion in the midst.
Yes.
Ooh,
I'm
that's
sorry
black.
about the font. Google Slides hates PowerPoint on Microsoft, and it just...
Still coming up though.
So just, yeah. So H, is it helpful? Will your words bring about a solution to a problem? I have no idea who Brian Bill is.
Hi.
Today, I didn't know the couple was enjoying the committee to think.
Yeah. We're talking about THINK, which is an acronym for like words. That's what we're saying.
Do you want to be filmed any, or
What?
do you want to be filmed? Oh, okay.
Okay. So I don't know who Brian Bill is, but he's just a cool dude that's like wise. I don't know. Anyway, he says, think first. I know of a young mother who asks her kids a question on a regular basis. Are your words flames or flowers? This helps her children realize that they have a choice to make. Plant beautiful flowers with their words, or they can release a raging fire. And that makes a lot of sense. Okay. And Proverbs 15:1 says, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir anger. I need to read this verse a whole lot more.
So do
I need to practice this. And pretty much anger is removed by a gentle response, but a heated response fuels the flame. You know, if you're mad at somebody and you get in their face,
I do that all the time.
you just, but you know, it's like what bullies.
I need to practice that a little
Yeah.
more. I do too.
That's what bullies want. Bullies, you know, they make you mad. They want you to, you know, inside they do. You kill them with kindness, you know. Okay. So, Proverbs 12:18, there is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. Words have the power to penetrate where no sword can touch, for good or for evil. A wise man uses his tongue for constructive purposes. Okay, so sticks and stones.
May break my bones, but words would never hurt me.
Okay. So sometimes I think our words can do a lot more damage than we do physically. Because once you've said it, it's gone. You can't take it back. Okay. So it can be for good or it can be for bad. And a wise person, constructive feedback, constructive responses. Constructive. Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Foul language is to be replaced by gracious speech, words that we can use to edify or build up other people. Okay. Is it inspiring? Will your words build up someone? So what are some examples of some inspiring words?
Inspire. She's got.
There's a little kitty poster hanging on the roof that says hang in there.
I like that.
Yes. What are some other ones?
Never give up.
Motivate.
Try
Awesome.
again.
Yeah. What are some words that would build up somebody?
Way to go.
Good job. I even think it'd be just stuff like you look pretty today. Your hair looks nice.
Oh, thank you.
Words that would tear somebody down. Daniel, you're a failure.
Thank you.
Okay, that wouldn't be good.
Loser.
Your hair looks ugly
Yeah.
today.
Stinking loser. Or, you know, you stink at math. That ain't very helpful. Or, where did you buy new clothes? Goodwill. That's not helpful at all. Okay. Illustration. I have heard people say birthmarks are not good. Like, people sometimes make fun of people with birthmarks because they're just on their skin and they're just, you know. Well, there was a boy with a birthmark, and his dad says, I'm glad you have that. It's how I find you in a crowd. So the boy goes and tells another man, I feel sorry for people that don't have a birthmark. His dad's words made all the difference. If his dad would have said, you know what? I wish you didn't have that birthmark. It looks so ridiculous on you. Then he would go and tell the man, I feel sorry for people that have birthmarks. So it depends on how we use our words, how people interpret stuff. 1 Thessalonians 4:18, wherefore comfort one another with these words, as pretty much self-explanatory, you know. Proverbs 10:11, the mouth of a righteous man is a well of life, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. One of the favorite topics of Proverbs is the tongue. Okay, life-giving words come from a righteous heart, and violent words come from a wicked heart. In Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth his countenance of friends. And I put that in there because proper tools shapes and sharpens iron for its desired use. Who your friends are, who you soon will be that thing, you know. And we sharpen our friends morally and intellectually for their personal friendships. Same way with words. If we hang out with people that cuss and people that down other people, we will soon get there too. We will start cussing, we will start downing people. So whatever you say really influences the people around you too. And is it necessary? Do we have to say anything at all? Sometimes it's better just to breathe through your nose and keep your mouth closed. Sometimes, we want to say something. We've all been in this room. We've all been in a situation. I have with Jared and his sisters where I just wanted to just blow out the water. But there's a point to where it's not our responsibility. It's not our job to intervene. We just have to keep it closed. So illustration. There was a woman who had a serious throat condition, and her doctor said your vocal cords need total rest. You cannot talk for 6 months. And she had a husband and 6 kids. How was she not going to talk? So when she needed something, she blew a whistle. And she wrote her notes on a piece of paper. Well, after 6 months, somebody asked me, how was it not being able to talk? And she said, I learned a whole lot. There were a lot of notes that I threw away after writing them and seeing what they looked like before I gave them to somebody and I threw them away. Seeing her words on paper made a huge difference. And Jared's told me a lot of times there's a lot of text messages that he's texted me or was going to text me. Not that they were bad, but he read them and it just didn't look good. Like it would come across in a bad way. It wasn't worded good. Okay. So sometimes I think seeing our words maybe helps us a little bit. Psalm 141:3, set watch, O Lord, before my mouth, keep the door of my lips. Ecclesiastes 3:7, we're probably familiar with this one. A time to rent and a time to sow, a time to keep silent, a time to speak. There's a time to be quiet. There's a time we can talk. James 1:19, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. God made 2 ears to hear and only one mouth to talk. So we're supposed to listen a whole lot more than we talk. Proverbs 21:23, whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. And Psalm 39:1, I said, I will take heed to my way that I sin not with my tongue. I will keep my mouth with a bridle while the wicked is before me. So pretty much, it's the saying is, if you'll just watch your mouth, you can really lower your problems. And we can learn to talk less by putting a muzzle or a filter on our mouth. Okay. Proverbs 15:23, a man hath joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good it is. A word spoken at the appropriate time. And that's the hint, is the appropriate time is good. Proverbs 13:3, he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. And the reward of cautious speech is full of life, and the avoidance of unnecessary trouble. I see a pattern when it says, keepeth his mouth, and keepeth his life, or keepeth his soul. So I think that means if you'll just tone your mouth, you have a whole lot more better life. And you won't have any problems. And K, which is our last one, is it kind? Are your words based on a desire to help? Psalm 12:3, their throat is an open, how do you say it?
Sepulcher.
Sepulcher.
Thank you. With their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asps is under their lips. Okay. Ephesians 4:15, but speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ. So Christian maturity is attained by thorough instruction and sound doctrine given in a loving manner. Okay? And I put this one in here because, I've been around people who don't go to church like I do. They're, not saved, or they don't believe. And it's very touchy when you talk about religion.
Mm-hmm.
Very touchy. Because all you have to do is take one little step and you are in the water. All it takes is that one little thing wrong. And sometimes, if they don't believe like we do, we want to say, well, no, this is how it is. This is what you have to do. And we want to force it down their throat. But what does this say? It says thorough instruction and sound doctrine given in a loving manner. We'll win more people over to Christ if we're easy. It's the same way with a horse. I know y'all have horses.
We did.
What?
We did.
You did? Well, you've had experience with horses.
Yeah.
Whenever you have a horse that's maybe not not saddle broken, but I know a lot of experience with people. Do you just go up to it and just start petting it and just, it takes a little bit of time. It's like a dog. It's got to sniff you, It's the same way with people. You can't just go up and say, hey, this is what it is what you have to do. If you know you don't do this, you don't do this, you know. You got to be easy and say, you know, well, hey, we've got church on Wednesday today. You want to come? But you don't say, if you don't come to church, you're a bad person. You know, or if you don't come to Bible club, you're an awful person. You know, you kind of have to give that option in there, and they can take the first step. And when they take the first step, then you know